Tay was barely asleep when her comms went off. It was Roden, whatever he wanted. Chief, whatever it is, can it wait? Then she woke up properly. Chief, where the hell are you? I had the fleet looking for you, but right now I'm guessing you aren't nearby. Tell those bastards that I will kill them if you are hurt, and tell them I will do it slowly. Roden was watching the two Intech studying him, aware that every word would be recorded and studied. Captain, don't bother looking for me. We have more important things to talk about. I think we have seriously fucked up this time. The Intech are not what we thought they were, and we need to take a step back. I have communications with their leadership, and right now, and I mean really right now, we need to pull out of the attack. I need you to tell the Admiral to withdraw from the system. Now, Captain, please, for the love of anything you have ever held sacred, stop this battle. Then his call was ended. The comms officer had already sent the security officers down to her cabin before she had time to get dressed. They cuffed her. So, Captain, would you like to explain this? The security chief didn't seem to have a sense of humor or even an honest curiosity about events. The aliens had called the captain, therefore the captain was talking to aliens, therefore the captain was working with the aliens, therefore the captain was a spy. She suspected they trained him using Lego. Chief, I have a few moments before the Admiral calls you, so here is how it works. We are missing a man, an important and valued man. He just called me, as a prisoner of the enemy, and gave me a message. I might have more information, but your office cut the call. I'm in charge of ship intel, and believe me when I say that we will be looking hard at your department very soon. The security chief began to speak, only to be interrupted. Chief, just wait. Trust me, you're going to get a call. He didn't get a call. He got a seriously pissed-off admiral, backed by Captain Sullivan and several engineers arriving to find out what was happening to their captain. 1 or 2 Marines had also appeared as well. Why the fuck is Tay in here? Have you lost your mind? I have nearly 1,200 Intech combatants on this fucking ship, and you bloody idiot, decide to arrest my captain? Release her. Go and get yourself a fucking toothbrush and clean the head. Never ever go near my staff again. Is that clear enough? He turned to Sullivan. Why do you have a fucking mall cop working on this ship? What were you thinking? Captain Sullivan shrugged. Sir, we had to crew the ship in a hurry. This is what I was given. He seemed okay at dealing with drunks and thieves. I didn't know he was an idiot. The Admiral glared across the desk. I want him on combat duty. Send him back to Rifleman. Or let him resign eventually. Tay, my apologies. Please follow me. Tay and the Admiral waited as a stumbling MP undid her cuffs, then moved away. Captain Sullivan stayed to restructure, in a dynamic and comprehensive manner, the department that had dared arrest the captain. He silently laughed that he had been right. It hadn't taken long before there were captains, and there was the captain. Even if she hadn't noticed, there had been 4 branches of the fleet ready to rescue her. Then he began shouting, but professionally. They stayed silent on the way to his quarters, as the Admiral recovered his composure, and Tay thought about what she had been told. Soon they were able to sit in silence, both waiting for Tay to organize her thoughts. Sir, Chief Roden called me. He confirms what we thought, or at least that's what I took from the conversation, that we are being used as a big stick against the enemy. He asks that we stand down and withdraw from the system immediately. Sir, he's an old soldier. I can think of a dozen ways he could have told me he was being forced. He meant it. We are doing something wrong here, something that smells. They called us child soldiers. Perhaps we are not the first. He asks that we withdraw, and I am inclined to agree. It offers no threat now, and I have many of their ships to study. Perhaps we could return their soldiers and crew. I don't know, sir, but I feel we need to change the narrative. Admiral Williams was bemused by his new captain. She had led them through these battles, sometimes alone, sometimes not. She had a sense of things. Her advice on creating bounties had led to a civil war among the enemy, a tactic that even he found ruthless, and then moved to create a machine to extract the greatest advantage for the human fleet from the smallest sources, exposing their enemies' darkest secrets. She had then taken a slight moment to reimagine her new ship, turning it into rescue, recovery, and prisoner of war camp in one breath, keeping his ships in the field beyond any reasonable limit. She was, without doubt, the worst enemy the Intech faced, regardless of who got to point ships at them, and she didn't see it at all. He took a leap of faith in her. Captain, I will withdraw our people. We will send their prisoners to the planet and ask for a truce. Apparently we have much to learn. However, I want our chief and any other prisoners returned immediately in exchange. If they want to talk, well, all the better. Otherwise, I will wipe them from space. Call them and make the arrangements, please. Roden was waiting. He had been cut off, but he had had enough time to do his best. Did she trust him enough? She would have to go to the Admiral, then work another small miracle. He wasn't a man to give up easily. Soon enough they would come and tell him. He lay back on his bunk, trying to imagine a universe as it looked like for the Intech. Hostile, unthinking, and vicious. A galaxy that hunted your family for sport. He had a bloody good idea of how humanity would have behaved. The Intech would be as nothing compared to how humanity would have reacted. Someone knocked on his door, then they opened it. It was his interrogator. "Chief, we need you on the bridge. Please follow me." This time there was no guard. Another Intech, another mask. Maybe he had met it before, but who knew? Its face filled the screen. Chief Roden of the Curiosity. "Your message to the human fleet has been obeyed. They have left the system and are leaving us in peace. They have sent shuttles of our people to the planet. Those captured in battle are returned to us. They ask for you, they seek peace. I must be clear. We do not understand. No one has offered us peace, at least not while defeating our fleet. Please explain." Roden wasn't in the mood for speeches. "Sir, if they have done that, it's because my captain has asked the Admiral to do it. We are on a short timeline here, since the Hoff on Earth might not agree, or at least not for very long. They want you dead, and they don't want that to be complicated. Call my fleet, ask for terms. I don't say surrender, just begin talking. No one will move against you while that is happening." He waited for that to sink in. "Return all your prisoners and slaves as an act of goodwill. You are fucked if you don't anyway. Better to do it first. Announce that piracy is now illegal in Intech space. Allow the human fleet to kill anyone that argues. Accept the loans, the advisors, and the diplomats that will arrive. We will guarantee your independence until you tell us to fuck off. At least, that's how we do it on Earth." "Your call." The Intech hissed again. "And this system of yours, does it work? We will be free of you if we agree?" Roden shrugged. "Sir, the alternative is that you die to our fleet. We will not stop, not without a treaty that includes those things. I'm not saying it will be pretty, especially since you get to watch human ships destroy any of your pirates that refuse. You are concerned about Admiral Williams? He's trying to make a good impression. We have many admirals. We are the ones who came down from the trees and sharpened the rocks on our world. Everything that threatened us is dead. Do you want to risk that again? We only have 3 types of animals on our homeworld: protected, pets, or produce. 4 if you include extinct. Call Captain Tay." With the debris still falling into the atmosphere, while the last ragged and damaged Intech ships were being emptied of their crews and intel, Admiral Williams, Captain Tay, and Captain Sullivan descended to the planet. The mood was somber. The Admiral turned to Tay. "Captain, I don't know if this is a surrender or some attempt to delay our offensive. You have a great deal of faith in a single call with the Chief, a man under the control of our enemies. Still, your colleague agrees with you, and your instincts have been good so far." Tay was already feeling the pressure. She wasn't entirely sure why she was certain that something was badly wrong with what they knew. It felt like a dark hole in their intel, an itch in her brain. Why did the galaxy have so little to say about the Intech? Why were they permitted to ravage and pirate without any real attempt to stop them? What the fuck was going on? "Sir, you can feel it. Something is wrong here. The galaxy has been around for a long time. They didn't need us to do this. Any of the big powers could have squashed them years ago. I think we deserve some answers." The rear of the shuttle was full of Marines. They kept their thoughts to themselves, unlike their smell, which reminded her of burning oil and sweat. She realized that they had probably been taking the Intech ships before being grabbed and sent on an escort mission. She went back and found her Marine sergeant, the one that had adopted Alex as a baby Marine, slumped against the hull. "Good to see you again, Sergeant. How's the boy doing?" The man looked tired, but his chin lifted. "Captain, he's guarding his sister like a bulldog with puppies. His head is in the right place now, except that he still believes that we are demons." Tay laughed. He wouldn't be the first to think that now, would he? "I'm pretty sure the Intech would agree." The sergeant nodded, obviously tired. "Yes, Captain, and now we get to babysit the Admiral." He paused, aware that he might just have stepped over the line. "Sorry, Captain, it's been a long day. No offense meant." Tay shrugged. "I didn't hear a thing. I'm just glad you're watching my back. We really don't have a clue what's waiting for us, if this is a trick, a truce, or just a waste of time. A squad of Marines behind me is very reassuring. As it happens, this is my personal shuttle, equipped with many odds and ends, such as a huge coffee supply in Locker 2. Help yourselves." These men were trained for fast actions. They all had excellent response times and hearing. Teamwork and some heavy-duty pushing had pots of coffee filling the ship bay within moments. The sergeant handed her a cup. "With our thanks, Captain." Roden was getting increasingly worried. He could see that his status had changed. He had been allowed exercise and decent food, but now he seemed to be briefing the Intech on human surrender protocol. Not really his field of expertise, to be honest. What was worrying him most was that he had no idea of the destination. Then came yet another knock on the door. Perhaps this time he would find out. The interrogator was waiting for him in his office. This time there seemed to be no panic, no fear in the air. Instead, he seemed calm, relaxed even. Chief, we have news for you. Our contacts with your Captain Tay have been useful, and she has brought your admiral to discuss these terms that you have told us so much about. We have decided to be Japan. You will tell them this. Roden was a bit thrown by that. He had discussed much of the different surrenders in human history, but apparently he had missed the obvious. The bit where it wasn't up to the loser to choose the terms. Intech, that is not how this works. You may be prepared to accept that kind of model, and it is entirely possible that the XCC will accept it, at least if the Admiral asks them to, but it's up to him. If he thinks you are insincere or unwilling to make the sacrifices demanded, he may well just keep shooting. I would ask you to look at, for example, at a model that includes your active support against the pirate clans that infest your civilization. The interrogator nodded. Indeed, we look forward to it. Alas, we have only governed from hiding. We do our best, but we will never have the military to crush them. Unfortunately, your human fleet has crushed what little power we had. If the pirates know that, they will feast on the few peaceful worlds that we hold, and then die to your fleet. Then the galaxy will finally have its victory, and the Intech will be no more. At this stage, Roden was feeling lost. This was definitely not the holiday he had been expecting, and Tay was better at this stuff than he would ever be. Still, he had learned a lot, certainly enough to see the questions that need to be asked. The first one was simple, the second less so. Why do you think the galaxy wants you gone? As far as I can tell, they pretty much leave you alone. The Intech made that weird whistling noise from its mask engineer. They do not teach our history, but the powers remember. They remember that they lead a genocide on our home, that they slaughtered the tech, that they stole our space and made us invisible. The Intech sought the words carefully. We embarrassed them. Roden nodded, familiar with the dynamic. Now for the difficult bit. Why do you think we should give a crap? Why surrender to us? You know nothing about us, except that we despise your piracy and slavery, and that we have wiped your ships from the systems. The interrogator was obviously choosing his words carefully again. Human, many have heard our story. We told you that you were not the first to attack in strength, and it is true. When we become unified, they always send someone. Always a young race, always full of rage. You are the first that seem to care about what happened to our tech. We are one with them, although now we keep them well hidden. They watched you, they listened, and they trust that there is no evil in you. They do not understand our sins, but they are willing to see you as judges. They chose you. If our fate is in the hands of children, let them be at least happy children. Tay left the shuttle after the Marines had formed up, a ring of steel alloy with an attitude all ready to go. It was a pity that, as far as she could see, there was nowhere to go. A vast, windy plain with a few prefab buildings dotted about. This was no pirate nation. This was the outback without the sunshine. She checked her coordinates, but they were right where they were supposed to be. Then one of the buildings stood up. The creature was huge, beyond anything that Earth had bred for 80 million years. Even Earth's megafauna, long since consigned to the history of mankind's arrival, would have paled beside it. It sported roofs, ladders, and weapons. The ground shook at its approach. The shuttle landed in the middle of nowhere, and Roden was led out of the ship, silently cursing about the wind. Then he decided to do it loudly. Intech, I'm not dressed for this fucking place. The wind chill alone will kill me. Did you manage to grab my suit before you shot my shuttle out of space? The Intech appeared confused. Human, your world is far worse than this. Do not try and trick us. Roden snorted. Sure. That's why we have suits. I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt and shorts right now because, I was going on fucking holiday. Either put me back on the ship or let me get dressed. The Intech would explain later that they didn't know what a chief engineer's suit was capable of. Roden put in on like he was a medieval knight dressing for war. For the first time since his capture, he knew he was going to survive, or at least the Intech was going to pay a heavy price. You are prepared? The tech wished to speak to you. The wind was curling around Tay and the others as the vast beast moved towards them. A small figure descended one of the ladders, almost lost against the sheer size of the creature. Then Tay's comms lit up. That dark spot was one of hers. Her comms crackled in the wind. Captain, do me a favor and tell your Marines to stand down. I'm alone and we have a lot to talk about. Tay was already running, pulling her weapon as an afterthought. Sergeant! Get him safe. It's the chief. The Marines could move faster than her. They had him surrounded in moments. The effect was slightly spoiled when the captain ran straight to him and embraced him. No one would ever admit that she might have been crying. Captains don't cry in public. The Admiral was quick to interrupt. Chief, you're going to have to do better than that. Approach slowly, allow the Marines to search you, and explain how the hell you got here before us. Roden grinned to himself, his face hidden by his suit. Admiral, I'm happy to see you too. The Marine swiftly scanned his suit, briefly nodding to the Admiral. He's clean. The Chief looked back. Big fuckers, aren't they? Admiral, that is the tech. Those are the ones we have been fighting, not the in-tech. In-tech just means of the tech. They are a semi-hive race, sort of a village thing. They would like to surrender, but they would like to do it carefully. As I said, we need to talk. It took a while, as Roden explained his odd transportation to the planet. In the beginning, he explained, the in-tech had thought themselves hidden. I was simply a clever intel capture. Then the captain found this planet. This is one of the few homes that will support the tech. It is, well, sacred is the best word. They called in their best, Admiral. Their bravest. They knew the odds, that we had thousands of ships. They came anyway. We killed them all, Admiral. I tried to tell Tay, but we have done a terrible thing here. We are being used to crush any of the tech that seek to reach above their station. He turned away from the Admiral, addressing his captain. Yes, they are slavers and pirates, but imagine if it was us. Banned from commerce, forbidden their homeworld for generations. What would we be then, Captain? Would our revenge not be the same? Or would it be worse? These people aren't even hunters. They are symbionts of the tech, not predators. The galaxy drove them to perpetual war. Captain, they have appointed me as their ambassador. I am here to find peace for them. He watched the captain, hoping he was right. Tay was familiar with the rage. She could easily recall the emotions after the shattering of a people, the shitty choices that they would make, had made. It had been her people. Even today, trying to repair the damage. She had been tested, and she had still dropped drones on criminals for the same sins against them. She had shattered the skull of the last creature to pretend it had a right to be superior. She realized that she was picking a side. It wasn't the side she expected. Chief, if you are speaking the truth, then we will end this today. This cycle will end, one way or another, but I choose peace. The air seemed to lighten, the gravity relax. The tech across the planet boiled in thought. They had little understanding of humans, but this human had brought hope and death wherever she landed. She carried war and peace in her fist. They would surrender to her. Roden felt it in the deepest, oldest part of his brain. The Admiral growled. Those were in-tech ships shooting at us. In-tech slavers taking our people. I'm not in a forgiving mood. If they want to surrender, fine. Otherwise, well, Tay has a list of targets the size of that beast, and I'm in a position to use it. Behind him, the tech across the plane and the planet raised a roar that should have been heard across the worlds. Thousands of tech, uncaring of the subtleties of human diplomacy, had heard the only words worth hearing. Their people would be safe. Chief Roden shouted at the Admiral, "Sir, they weren't asking you. They were talking to the captain." The Admiral stood, raising his hand. The tech became silent. That your best and bravest would come to fight against us, against the odds given, is something to treasure. There was no waste here today, only honor and death. We will have peace, in their name and in the name of those that we have lost. As much as I hate to remind the captain, it is my will that will prevail today. Yet I will not argue since I hold her in the same high regard. You will surrender your worlds to us. They will be guarded carefully by a combined fleet of in-tech and humans until you ask us to leave. Together we will build your place amongst the worlds. The treaty will include many, many conditions, but you seem to be listening, so, in the Earth tradition, may I come aboard? The vast creature bowed its legs, allowing the ladders to reach the ground. The Marines were left to stand around unhappily, guarding the shuttle as their sergeants went ahead with the captain and the Admiral. How the fuck were they supposed to kill this thing without heavy artillery, or an SSSS? Once they had reached the top, Tay looked around with interest. The ground was made up of bony plates, each one at least 3 meters long. All sorts of pins had been driven into them, obviously causing the beast no distress. The area was nearly empty, except for the group of in-tech waiting for them. Tay stepped forward and put out her hand. I am Tay, captain in the Hoff. Thank you for keeping my chief engineer safe. The in-tech behaved oddly. It grasped her hand and turned it towards a ramshackle tower that sat at the head of the tech. Captain of the Forgotten, Captain of the Stolen, Captain of the many knives and the sharpened stones, we gift you this. Her head exploded. Her mind was suddenly swamped with a million images, a million more messages and fears. Her mind burned with the wind around her. Slowly, so very slowly, she saw Ben. She saw Oz. She found herself standing in front of the compound, waiting for the next drone to fall onto the slavers. A voice, old and gentle, asked a question. Tay, would you do this again? To bring death upon them like this? Even in her pain, she had to answer. Their weapons. They die on the sword that they used on mine. Mine! The pain grew, the noise grew. Images of worse, of the sight of a half-dead child slave, of the burning of ships and the human fleet victorious, pushed into her mind. Her mind screamed, holding the rage, pushing away the loss. Mine! My fault! My people! Mine! She fell into darkness. The Admiral stood silent. Whatever reason they had to do it, they had exposed his captain to the world. Every image, every emotion had been shared by all. The Marine sergeant beside him was just waiting to shoot everyone in the room. He was only grateful that he was willing to wait. Intech, what have you done? This is what you call peace? Right now we are ready to destroy you. The Intech hissed, Of course, Admiral, killer of my people. We must be human to have peace. We would fight, except that my tech has found her worthy. She is better than you. You are just another weapon. She will be well in a moment, with a gift that only our people can give. The gift that makes the galaxy fear us so much that they would see us dead. You stand on my tech and presume to threaten me, in the name of peace. Utter another word and I will call death upon you. Silence, speaker for killers, before you shame us all. Tay woke up, or at least she thought she did. Her dream seemed to continue. That same old voice was still in her head. Peace, child. You have been given a gift. Today you will know what it is to be a tech. Speak softly and slowly, for today the worlds will hear you. Roden prepared the shuttle as the Marines carried Captain Tay to the medbay in silence. The Admiral had signed the treaty provided by XCC in a curt moment, leaving the stylo in the waste disposal. The war was over. Now he could go back to killing pirates. Chief, is she awake? Roden paused, torn. Sir, she is dreaming or something. Her brain is running too hot. The medbay says a week at most unless she is put in cryo.